Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Apathetic Life podcast. Today, we're joined by a couple of Saint Paul Preparatory Seoul students to talk about the merits and demerits of digital and analog note-taking. I noticed that everyone in Saint Paul has acquired an iPad or at least a smart tablet to aid them in studying.
Most of us,
Not all of us. I, after spending my freshman year, have transitioned over to the digital note-taking fact and have acquired a iPad, but I have since dropped that tool of note-taking, and I've converted back to pen on paper. I think that's the way I'm going for now, but I'd like your opinions on it.
So I also don't have an iPad, but I still believe that having an iPad in the school is unavoidable because teachers use it, and most teachers or students are now using it to do airdrops, and people just find it more convenient to have the same stuff so that they can work together more easily, like the airdrops.
Another thing is PDFs. They're very convenient. You don't have to bring a heavy bag anymore. You can just get a simple PDF, and you can just use tape. You can just upload it on your iPad, and then suddenly you have 5 books on it.
As someone, so I used to be an avid paper person but then I've had my life saved by my iPad like so many times that I can't really say that I don't benefit massively from it. And one thing it saves me from is like having a separate notebook for every subject, because then my bag gets really, really heavy. And I really don't like when that happens because I walk to school and stuff. And also, it's a lot easier to find your own notes. Like, you can do keyword searches if you write on the iPad, and that's basically it.
yeah, there are a few things I like. For example, I don't have an iPad at all, and I've survived it just well. I mean, this year there are a few hiccups, like a certain stat class having notes on Google Classroom that everyone else takes notes on their iPad. I have to print it out. Sometimes I forget to print it out, so that's a bit inconvenient. But besides that, 4 years so far, no complaints. And the other thing is that it's more consistent. Like, everyone allows paper. I mean, sure, lots of kids might have iPads, but everyone is like, oh, there's no paper. Like, there's no teacher that bans paper, but there are a lot of teachers that ban iPads, that's for sure. So it's more consistent, it's more reliable, and it's better for memorization, because with an iPad, you're just like typing something sometimes. Meanwhile, with paper, you're actually writing stuff down. It's like the pain, it kind of teaches you something. Pain is an excellent teacher. And sometimes what I do is I take my paper notes and I digitize them for more encoding. So it's very convenient that way.
My man. Yes. Paper is the GOAT. I mean, obviously, I've seen a lot of people use iPads to write, not type. And in that sense, I guess some people think that, iPad is the same as writing on paper. Therefore, iPad is superior because you have less weight on your book bags. It's more concise and it's easier to look up on your notes. Wrong, okay? Paper is the best because I've been using paper since elementary school, actually. I've mastered the note-taking skills, and what I realized is that paper is just best. You memorize it better if you write it a lot, and in my opinion, you can't beat the physical analog paper where you write multiple times on paper. And also, I don't know if it's a me thing or something, but I feel very happy when I see my notebooks getting wearier and thicker, and as I accumulate more notebooks in my what should I say, my room, I feel very happy because it shows that I did hard work, and having an iPad doesn't show that hard work.
Okay, boomer.
I think there is both positives and negatives of iPad, but I think unlike you, I am a case that benefited from the iPad usage. For example, like while taking biology or history notes, I tend to like including pictures like maps, or in the case of biology like cells. But if I use analog way of taking notes, I tend to have my textbook open and my note at the same time, because when I take notes in class, I can't like draw the cell or map and take notes at the same time. But with an iPad, I get to just screenshot the map and just paste it on a note, on a separate note, so that I can later on, before the test, I can see it in one page.
Definitely. The iPad, especially when I was taking biology, came up multiple times. That is very useful because you can easily, do pictures. And sometimes, like for example, I'm taking. But thankfully, no class this year requires me to take a bunch of pictures or draw a bunch of pictures. I take physics right now. That requires the most notes. But even there, the most I'm drawing is a bunch of lines and circles for diagrams, and that's manageable on paper. And personally, I feel like though the feeling of writing on paper is unmatched by any screen, and you don't need to worry about battery. Oh, people go like, oh, my battery's on charge, can I plug it in or something like that? But like, no, my pen and paper has no lithium battery inside. It is always fully charged. I have but then like there's definitely the times, because our school does require a laptop to attend, and the iPad, instead of just being a notebook replacement, can be a laptop replacement. And in that case, it's useful, and that's why I still carry it around, even though I don't use it half the time. Which probably beats the like, oh, there's less to carry argument. There's more to carry for me, but I know I'm an exception.
I did. Oh wait.
So one issue I've had with pen and paper is, well, it's heavy sometimes, but it's worth it in my opinion. It's not that heavy. Like my notes aren't that heavy. The other thing is that, well, it's a me problem, but I have terrible handwriting. So sometimes when I have to digitize my own notes, I'm like, okay, what was I thinking when I what was I thinking when I wrote this? So, but sometimes that helps with my memory. And the other problem is that, well, only recently I started using like mechanical pencils. Before that, I was just using like these wooden pencils, and they got blunt very easily. So it's like, it was a nightmare sometimes. I had to sharpen it all the time. To anyone who took AP Gov with me last year, you know that I had to go up to the sharpener like every class, sharpen like 5 pencils, just so that I could last through half the class. And this year I've been using I've been experimenting with different 0.5, 0.7, 0.9. 0.5 breaks too easily. 0.9 is a nightmare to write with since it's too thick. 0.7 is the happy medium.
Okay. So I mentioned being an avid paper user until I got my iPad, and that was also because my laptop had broken that time. But anyway, I like paper for all the reasons Josh mentioned, but I think in the end, the iPad just saved a lot more time for me personally.
My handwriting is so terrible, and so I just
Get
write.
good.
I'm true, but why should I? It takes effort. I'm gonna write on documents.
Yes, it takes effort, and that's why you get smart. If you don't put effort, you don't get smart. That's the whole point.
Okay, but regardless of your preference, the most testing nowadays are turning digital. APs for a big manner. Some subjects which requires not that much handwriting also for their free response questions are also digitalized. Most notably AP Lang and AP Lit. Both tests last year were taken by hand, and some of the students here took AP Lang last year know the pain of your hand cramping in the middle of your session. But we gained resilience thanks to that. But now they're transitioning to typing. But some other tests like physics, where some required to draw or a bunch of equations need to be done quickly. they're still allowing a pen and paper FRQ only. But I'd argue even for in math sections, the thing about pen and paper is that you can annotate on the question, and when you're tracing over drawings, it helps out a lot. It's just faster. And I fear the implications of a digital testing standard. I get it's cheaper, I get it's faster, but is it more beneficial to students, or is this a new way of studying? The new generation, talk to me. I am too old. I prefer paper.
He is the oldest technically, yeah. He and Joshua,
he is old.
and then it's me, and then it's Hajin and Eric. Ben, which of you's older?
Yeah, he's a fossil to us. From going back to like the notebook thing, Josh, no, not Josh. Josh Justin, he mentioned about how his pen and notebook does not have to be charged, but I feel like in terms of iPads, we can, if we don't bring our notes, then we can just access it from someone else's or some other device since it's online. But for our papers, if we just leave it at home, it's just home. We can access it from somewhere else. And also, I think the matter of being the handwriting beneficial or iPad being beneficial depends on people. So some people just prefers to type it, some people prefers to write it, and people who prefers to write it will continue to write on iPads. And while I must agree that writing on paper, the feeling is unparalleled by an iPad, the effect or the result we get from writing on iPad and paper is quite same.
For me, when I have good handwriting, when I feel okay, that's when it feels perfect. However, if I have bad handwriting, I just feel like I wasted paper and wasted time. So
Okay, yeah,
difference.
that wasted paper is a good argument.
Yeah, no, one of the reasons I stopped
Yeah.
is because I saw the paper piling up. Yeah, I'm proud of myself, but then at the same time, it's kind of like, ooh. That's a lot of paper I'm wasting. And also, I also really like the feeling of paper. So when I'm drawing, I prefer to draw it on paper and take a picture of it and trace it on. Just get a screen protector, guys. They sell them for like $10, okay?
Okay, I get that now. It's preference. Some are more old-fashioned. Some are newer. We have like a medium now. They're Necron samples available. There are e-ink stuff are being available. That sort of merges the two. I get it, but my concern is if a certain standard is imposed, AP test for example, wouldn't that be marginalizing paper enjoyers, Chad paper enjoyers like me? Or like some tests like econ, they sort of encourage using a iPad or some kind of tablet because they give notes in terms of pen on paper on a PDF, and they expect you to annotate over it. And like Paul said, it's a bit of a hassle to print it out all the time. I know our chemistry class also used to do this. Do you think that schools or teachers should accommodate these analog enjoyers also, or is this the future? Is iPads the future?
That's very interesting because you guys have talked about that, using a paper in digital times makes it a bit of a hassle to write down notes when the teacher literally has a PDF printed out for iPad digital students. But I never actually thought I had a problem with that because what I just end up doing is just writing the PDF notes on paper. So I don't know if that's really points that the teacher should address. My problem with iPads, which I'm surprised that nobody really talked about, is that iPad is a multi-function, multimedia device which can easily siphon your attention span by accessing different applications such as YouTube or Instagram. And
Brain rot.
I always, I always get distracted by that when I use digital devices, and that's one reason why I use analog devices.
Say man, how's the Sudoku going?
Sudoku is fun. That is one reason why that at home I don't really use my laptop as much, but in school I have no choice but to use it. That's why I just play Sudoku, and that actually supports my buttresses my claim that iPads are very distractful and digital devices are very disturbing when you try to study. That's why analog is superior in that sense.
Well, not saying that I never did something else during class. I'm not saying that. No. Hear me out. But the thing is, I think that's just you problem. Like,
Students should learn to control themselves. Is
yeah,
what you're
students
saying.
have to know how to control themselves. Like, it's not like they can only live with like analog way. Like, the world is changing. We have new technologies. Like Joshua said, like SAT or other standardized tests are changing to digital, and we should not like reject those changes, but we have to just try to change ourselves and restrict ourselves from doing something else.
Is there no in between? Can we not have a I don't know what's the word, codependence or interdependence on paper? And because I don't want to be 10 years in the future when I'm taking like a college exam and then they said like, oh, this is done on a laptop. Because people are marginalized. This is a stand. This is a call to action to bring awareness to the paper enjoyers.
Okay. For the distraction topic, I also agree with Ben. It's a you problem. And also for the should teachers cater to paper users, it's kind of like we're very kind of technically for all this time. It's the students catering to the lesson plan the teachers make. That's never been something anyone complains about. Like, if the teacher wants to take a test every 3 classes, like, I mean, yeah, you can hate it, but then you can't like expect them to cater to you and not do that. And I feel like the medium that they decide to show that material is their choice. And if we were a school where not everyone could bring in a laptop, then that would obviously be a problem. But the school says you need to have a laptop and everyone can do that. So I don't think it's something our teachers need to do. And when it comes to AP exams, I'm pretty sure they provide laptops, right? Or that there is something that gives everyone access to them. And if AP decides that it's easier for them to grade their tests that way, which it probably is, then I think it's the students who are paying the organization who kind of have to do what the organization says they'll give them a grade for,
Justin, the other thing, so about the marginalized thing, I know that was mostly a joke, but the thing is, some people actually can't afford laptops. It's called the digital divide. I studied at Brown pre-college. The thing is, we're a wealthier school, but some school districts, well, they're funded by, real estate taxes, the public schools, which means that poor neighborhoods, less resources to buy laptops, and the students are less likely to have laptops in the first place, which makes it so that their students would probably be more used to analog stuff. So if, like, say, colleges are just switching to all digital, then these students might flounder a bit. And isn't that just increasing the wealth gap, which is already bad enough?
I'd say unless digital tablets, I mean, assuming writing is gonna be a medium that is gonna exist for the type, it might be all changed to typing. Who knows? Assuming writing is a medium that will exist in the future, unless there comes a world where everyone can afford and everyone already has a digital tablet, paper should still exist. We should not encourage a wealth gap. We should adhere to the superiority of paper. We should accommodate everyone, and it's cheaper. Like, as much as it's like environmentalists will say like, oh, you guys are wasting paper now, I still think it is cheaper. Fax has been disappeared and replaced by email. because the email was more convenient. But for paper, I think it's for you. You should be able to decide what medium you use.
Well, the Korean government already can provide a lot of tablets to high schoolers now. I think that it's mandatory.
And also in some public schools, they provide you with desktop in school, and also these days tablets that have at least functions, like basic functions like taking notes or accessing internet. While those tablets might not be like super fast or something like a MacBook, it's cheap and it does the work. And so
like there are public infrastructure that provides these sort of technology already.
yeah, I think if someone like tries to get assistance from government, they will provide it, and we have a program for that.
So our digital future is already incoming, and it's inevitable that no more paper will be produced.
Yes,
Yeah,
I actually recently visited my old high school I went to, and when I was there, there was 99% paper. Only the teachers used laptops. Now I went there and everybody's using a PDF on their government given.
I thought the Korean schools, because I came from a Korean public school, they would stay paper because it's easier not to cheat on paper. Paper is like really hard to cheat on.
No, they still did a test on paper. They just give iPads out for PDFs and other questions.
Oh, okay.
No, I was really shocked in AP Lang. You know how when we were doing our timed essays and we were always running out of lined paper? I was so shocked. Like you guys don't have like stashes of lined paper, because in England we took tests like everything was on paper. So like if you walked into a classroom and you look at a shelf, like one of them would just be a stack of lined paper, and just like how do you not have lined paper? So I think it's definitely
It's because our school
lot.
is a laptop first. It's
Yeah.
a digital high-tech school
So
that
what
drives AI.
So one trend that I've seen is that take Silicon Valley, a lot of the tech people, tech executives are saying, "Oh, we should be like we should all transition. The public school system should transition to laptops, tablets, and all that." But then they turn around and send their kids to private schools. And can you guess which medium these private schools use?
Paper.
Paper.
Paper is... Okay, I don't want to say paper is better because that's my opinion, but I'm saying we should at least accommodate, which is sad because we have now seen that a digital future is incoming. Who knows? Maybe paper is going to be studied as artifacts in the future.
The future is now, old man.
I've
You're
become a
too old.
boomer.
You're too old.
They're never gonna take my VHS tapes or my records.
Thank you everyone for watching this episode of Apathetic Life Podcast. We were joined by Justin Park, Joshua Pong, Hajin Lee, Paul Han, Benjamin Kwak, and Eric Chung.